How about them Cowboys, baby?
Wow. Stephen A. Smith.
Dak Prescott. Bro.
How about them Cowboys?
Holy
A big
shit,
week
son.
in Cowboy land. Jerry Jones' birthday, his 134th birthday. It was a big birthday present for old Jerry.
Great game.
A big 47-9 loss at home.
A sunny loss.
No, this makes it their third straight home murder.
Yeah.
No, this team is reeling. So I'm opening it up to the gang. I have a lot of thoughts on this. Let me know what you think about these Cowboys. And also, you can't not talk about Dak. Dak Prescott, 178 yards passing, 0 touchdowns, and 2 of his favorite things to ever walk the earth, interceptions. 2 of those babies. So he was pulled in the 4th. Cooper Rush came in, did the exact same thing. Same passer rating, 42.2. So, Mario, when you look at this Cowboys team, you know, we talked a lot. Is Dak top 10 in the league? Are these Cowboys top 29 in the league?
I mean, we had an episode a few weeks back about teams that we were pushing the panic button on. And the Cowboys, I've been consistent. Cowboys have been that team for me. This defense is
horrendous.
Yeah, I mean, just calling an ambulance. Like they honestly, I'm not gonna say they should do this because I'll sound like Mike. This is just an idea. You know, I've heard if a plane crashes, you get.
It's a draft.
The emergency death draft.
You can get an emergency draft.
And emergency death draft.
And then you get like the top 3 picks in the next draft.
Yeah.
Like there's a way for them.
Christ.
There's a thin
death calls already.
No,
the
I'm
Carolina
not saying
Panthers had files released of some plans of theirs to do that as well.
Yeah, and then Andy Dalton won the game, and that just put everything to bed.
Yeah, all of a sudden.
No, I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying there is a narrow path of light.
Forward.
Yeah, forward for them.
There's a whole lot of light in that stadium.
No, I mean,
Jesus
even
Christ.
with Micah Parsons there, their defense was terrible. Without him, I mean, they just get no pressure. I know they were going against the best O-line with Detroit, but I mean, it's just sad. And these DBs are okay. I mean, Trevon Diggs, like, there's not much you can do. Even if he plays good, like, everyone else is going to be open. And then if he goes on the other side, then like, the number 2 option, like, if he goes on Amon-Ra, like, he kept him quiet, but then J-Mo started cooking, and then, like, this team is just a mess. And then offensively, I mean, they can't run the ball. No. Can't run the ball. So Dak just has to throw. Jake Ferguson, he's okay. And then CeeDee Lamb, like, they force feed him the ball. It's like, all right, cool. Like, you might get, like, a couple first downs, but that's not the recipe for longevity in, like, a game. So this team, I'm saying it now, they're fucked.
Yeah, I mean, 0 touchdowns this year for CeeDee Lamb is pretty alarming, too. I know.
And not even a 100-yard receiving game.
Yeah, no, he's playing bad. Ryan, real quick, and then I'm going to jump to Mike. You've been a Dak supporter, a longtime Dak supporter.
Correct. Still am.
Oh, real quick, fire Mike
guy.
McCarthy, by the way.
Oh, that's
everything.
Well, that was.
I want to hear what you think on this team because Dak is looking really rough.
I mean, he's still top 10 in passing touchdowns and yards, and he had a bad game. He had a bad game, which happens in a quarterback play. I guess you get smacked in the mouth. Also, I've been saying this, like I'll continue to say, I think the Lions are the best. They were going to be the best regular season team, and they're going to start smacking people in the mouth. This team's insane.
Yeah,
but
they're catching their rhythm right
now. Yeah,
they're
really getting hot. And I mean, Dak. It was Dak played a terrible game. Everyone played a terrible game. And I was saying the biggest thing was the run game. We talked about this, I think, a couple weeks ago. Yeah. They are dead last in run efficiency, run yards per game.
Terrible.
Everything. I mean, whatever it is.
It doesn't matter who.
It doesn't matter who's back there.
Garbage.
And
Deuce Vaughn, Dowdle. I mean, they're all.
And any game, I just think, I think Dak can hold with teams, but putting it all on just your quarterback and a wide receiver room. That's after Cook's got on IR, they have no one. It's like you said, force feed CeeDee Lamb. They have nothing else. I think their biggest thing they need to do, I know their defense is absolutely screwed, attack one of these T. Higgins wide receiver 2s that is about to go on the market and just be like, hey, if we're going to give up 20, let CD, T. Higgins, and Dak get loose. Because we've seen Dak.
Trade for Devontae.
Exactly. We've seen Dak, I still think he's good. He could throw. He can score when he needs to. Unfortunately, this game, Lions was just all over the place. They were flying. Coach great. It was just a smack in the mouth.
5 yards per carry for Gibbs, 6 yards for David
Montgomery. Even on defense, they were just everyone was strapped and they were just getting to the quarterback. So I still think the Cowboys are going to make the playoffs, and I still think that Dak will be fine. He had the worst game of his life, and he's probably not going to. He'll be fine. So I just think the biggest thing, if you're going to have a terrible defense like the Bengals almost. Have an insane offense. Yeah. And I think with the team they have now, you need to get a wide receiver 2 that's going to ball like T or something like that, or somehow get a running back or backup or something get going because it's a lot of trouble if you don't.
Mike, is this team making the playoffs?
In my opinion, no, and I don't want to be too redundant, but I think the most glaring part of their team, besides their defense as an entirety, which is just, literally every
Shambles,
single
yeah.
part about it, like their run defense is awful, secondary is awful, like I feel like it's entirely just Swiss cheese. But I think it's a serious problem that they have zero run game or like zero identity with the run game. It allows for defenses to just know that Dak is going to be the one to throw it. He barely got over 50% this past week. I think he went 27 for 53. If I remember
17
correctly.
for 33.
17 for 30. Okay, yeah.
Oh, well,
definitely.
you're right. Barely over 50%.
Yeah.
Very
Wrong numbers, but 7 and 3. Got
Yeah.
those two. So that's pretty good on me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, that obviously leads to defenses knowing how they're going to scheme for offense every single play. That's why he couldn't get over 200 yards, threw for 2 picks, which, I mean, that's also another thing is, the guy he's got to stop turning over the ball.
I mean, he throws interceptions with the best of him.
I mean, he didn't at all last year.
Well, he's done his entire career. I mean, he's second in the NFL in picks. The only one who has more interceptions is Will Levis with 7. Dak has 1 less.
No, I mean,
through 6 games,
the hottest take I have and the hottest take that I've written in my recent notes is that I don't know if Dak would be a starting quarterback on any other team except for the Cowboys, Panthers, or Patriots. I think he is that bad. I think he is abysmal.
We need
I
to
love
clip
it.
that.
I mean,
Clip that.
to be
Clip
honest,
that.
I
Put
take
it on the ball.
Skylar Thompson at the Dolphins over him. This guy is
So
just
are you
horrendous.
are you calling for Trey Lance or Cooper Rush? Like
Trey
one of
Lance
them.
should get
Sure,
a shot. Trey Lance should get a shot.
Or
But-
something happens, Dak has to get his leg amputated.
Okay, Mike, that's enough of that. I do want to talk on the Dak Prescott. I'm not as, alarmist as Mike, just going for the clickbait and all that. But I do want to just throw some stats
Honest
out there
takes,
about this
honest
Cowboys
review.
team. We already talked defense bad, running game bad, whatever. They give it the third most points per game of any team in the NFL. Literally anyone can score on these guys. It's ridiculous. But I want to just talk bigger picture Dak because he did get the biggest contract 3 weeks ago.
$240 million.
Yeah.
240 million, 80 million signing bonus, 230 million guaranteed. This isn't one of those delayed contracts. This motherfucker's getting paid now.
Right.
And
Yep.
so
Upfront.
the Cowboys haven't been to a conference championship since 1995. So they have these crazy inflated, hopes about themselves. And everyone somehow in ESPN world is just like, every year says the Cowboys are somehow a contender. It doesn't make any sense to me. Since Prescott arrived, they've never won a divisional round playoff game and have only made it past the wild card round once in the last 5 years. He was paid $240 million. So Dak Prescott, this team every year we say how talented they are. This year's probably the exception.
Yeah.
Right? But the last 4 or 5 years, they keep having all the talent in the world. They've had 13 game winning seasons in the regular season. And then, Dak just does what he does in the playoffs and throws picks. They're doing it in the regular season now, too. So, I'm 100% off the Cowboys. I think Dak is bad, but not, Skylar Thompson bad.
I mean,
but I actually do think he's
Matter of opinion.
really not that good. The reason they're having to throw for so many yards is because they are down in these games. Other teams are scoring 30-plus points per game on them on average. So, if Dak's not throwing the ball, 30, 40 times a game, they're just not going to score enough points because they can't run it. So I'm completely off of the Cowboys. I don't think there's any shot they make the playoffs this year. I don't know how they
I
get.
wonder what their odds are.
No,
They'd have to
we'd
go
have to look
acquire a running back and some offensive linemen and some
With
they
this
need
current roster,
With this
yeah.
roster, there's a 0% chance this team makes the playoffs.
I agree
no
with
way.
that.
I agree
agree
with
with
the
that.
with the playoff take. One thing, real quick though, I know it's really easy to harp on Dak, especially after that last game.
I love it.
The thing for me though, my opinion of Dak was kind of solidified before this season. To me, he's
Same.
he's a top 15 quarterback. He has his moments when he could be that fringe top 7, top 6 ish if he's having and if he's really on, he's talented. But consistently, he's around for me around that 9 to 12 spot. He kind of floats in between.
Yeah.
That's what I thought going into the season.
I thought the same.
Looking at this team, I don't hold this season against Dak Prescott because with this current roster, there's really nothing he can do. They're gonna be down because their defense is bad.
Yeah.
They can't run the ball, so he has to throw. He has to force the ball, which is gonna lead to more interceptions. For me, this season's just a wash. they're not going to be good. They're not going to make the playoffs, and that's just what it is.
This might be the biggest collapse in like defensive or like team history.
I've never
Either
seen
side
a
of the ball.
team that was like a
On
top
offense or defense.
10
Be like
defense.
100%. This is a top 10 defense.
Yeah.
Be like, holy shit, this might be the worst defense we've seen in a long time.
This is really, really what happens when you decide to hold on to players
they overpaid
who
them
are
for sure.
who are considered stars but aren't stars.
Yeah.
I'm including Micah Parsons in this conversation, and I'm counting what they're like going to throw to CD. Or did they pay CD already? They paid CD preseason, right? Yeah. Like when you pay players, granted, CD's up there with the best receivers in the league for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's kind of yet to be determined whether paying for wide receiver one money is worth it on any team ever.
It's not worth it.
It's never worth it.
It's never worth it.
Paying a quarterback works if that quarterback is elite.
Mm-hmm.
If you lock up, hundreds of millions of dollars in a quarterback and they're not good, your team is pretty.
Yeah.
And then also, Micah Parsons, everyone has their opinions on him. He's a very, very,
Oh,
polarizing player. I think he's good. I don't know if he's highest paid defensive player in the league.
No, nowhere near.
And so when you do that and you kind of have to rely on youth and drafting ability and, kind of plug and play free agents, your team gets a lot weaker and weaker. That's the reason we see the Chiefs never really fucking declining, is because Mahomes drags out his contract for 1 billion years, backloads everything. They don't pay receivers, and they just load up on defense and O-line. And
Also,
they plug and play their
all you
receivers.
need.
One thing you made a great point of that never gets talked about, or at least in the world of Cowboy sports, is the Mike McCarthy conversation. That how he's still a head coach in the league is absurd.
Crazy.
He's never
No, he's out after this season.
it was bad on the
Mid-season.
Packers, end of the Packers. This is like
I think he has 2 more
that was a
games.
good
Wow.
point. I mean, I agree.
he has more than
is-
2 weeks, but when they,
I don't know.
I'll tell you right now, when it's like week 13 and they're like statistically like they can't make the playoffs, that's when he'll get fired.
I think, I don't know, I think
That'd
firing,
be a terrible time to fire.
firing Robert Saleh might have, I think, kind of
Open that door.
open the cap. And
Yeah.
I think you're going to start seeing some of these teams make moves.
Cowboys should get solid.
Well, I
Fix
mean,
that defense. Fix the defense.
well,
Like
I don't know about him as a head coach, but I'll tell
defensive
you,
coordinator.
Get him as
Like,
a TC.
get like, I don't know. I feel like you could still hire Bill Belichick. He said he's interested in
Yeah.
coaching. I mean, I know now he's on TV a little bit more with the
Yeah.
ESPN thing, but like, I think he's open to coaching. You get him. He brings on Salah as like a D coordinator. Like that team.
That'd be an interesting coaching.
Yeah,
But they're
that would have
screwed.
to would
They're-
have to be an offseason thing. I don't think Bill Belichick or a high
No,
profile
no,
coach
no,
would
not
pick this up.
mid-season.
No,
No,
yeah,
no,
I
not
agree.
mid-season. There's no way. But even if they get a good coach, the problem with this team is they've put their money in the wrong places. Like they have so much money going to CeeDee Lamb. Like I'm sorry, wide receivers are good, sure, but they're never worth.
You
as
can
much.
draft.
look at the
Well, they're
championship teams.
also-
You can draft all the
them.
championship teams, even like the freaking the Packers that got so far have nothing. The
Yeah.
Chiefs that had nothing. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Even the Niners, like
And it's
Who did they draft
And it's
high?
the craziest thing in the world is you can draft a receiver if you really want a receiver. Go draft one the first
have them
round.
for 4 years. and
It's
then
a
pay
4-year
nothing.
rookie deal.
Yeah.
Barely touches the team, and you've seen right away what a Malik Neighbors coming in or
Rasheed Rice.
Every
Rashid-
year.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Justin
every
Jefferson,
year.
it was Jamar Chase, it was Puka Nakua.
It's everyone every
Like,
year.
like every rookie, every
Yeah.
season, like just comes in and all of a sudden looks like
I
a
agree.
top
It's the
5
worst
receiver.
position to play.
You cannot
in
pay them.
sports.
You cannot
You
pay
can't pay them. And I don't know why. Like, if you have a good quarterback, like Dak, if he had a good O-line, like when he first came into the league, he had a good run game, good O-line. I think I've mentioned the stats before, but whenever Dak Prescott, as a starter, when his team rushes for over like 110 yards, 120 yards, he's lost like the amount of games I could count on one hand. But anytime he has to throw for more yards than they rush, he's a losing quarterback. I mean, it's a simple recipe that works in the NFL. If they had Micah Parsons, imagine if they, like, after this year signed Max Crosby. Like, I don't know why teams don't do this. If you get 2 just studs, instead of paying 140 million, 150
Pay 80
million,
million.
for CeeDee Lamb, you pay Micah
2-year
Parsons, you pay Micah Parsons 80 million,
Yeah.
Max Crosby 50 million. I mean, that's like less money than one CeeDee
Max
Lamb
Crosby would
receiver.
be more expensive than that, but yeah.
But you get what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
they just put their money in the wrong places.
So many people do
No,
that now.
for
It's
sure. I think
ridiculous.
this Cowboys team is definitely in for an interesting end of the season. You know, if they post a losing record this year after paying 240,
That would be-
Jerry's not going to be super happy after cutting all those checks. Plus 185 to make the playoffs right
not
now. You're getting almost 2-1 on this. I think there's
Wait
no
till they
shot.
lose another game, and
Yeah,
then
I'm
it'll
saying
be
I'm
like,
laying the minus 200. They
it'll
don't.
be at like 250, and then
Yeah,
get some
but hey,
good
we're talking some Cowboys football. We're talking some NFL on the Friday episode.
Yeah.
So always stay tuned if you don't already for those. And we're gonna keep talking some
How about
Cowboys.
them
As
Cowboys?
long as they
How
have
about
rest.
them Cowboys, baby?
How about them Cowboys?